What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Monday, September 24th, here, start of a brand new week. And I'm going to start off the show with a bit of an apology. Over the weekend, my doctor gave me this new medication, dichloroplasto, wizzo, wagga wagga, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And she's already cut the dosage in half, but I'm still quite a bit fuzzed out. So if I'm not making any sense, it's not my normal not making any sense. It's drug-induced, and I'm hoping I'm going to be off this stuff in just a couple of weeks here. All right, we have got a lot of stuff to talk about today. The phone lines are open, 300-313-9443. So let's get into the stories right now, and we have got a lot to talk about. Mike is in our control room, ready to answer the phone when you call on in. Okay, as you know, this week starts the United Nations General Assembly. And apparently the U.S. Embassy, just to show their ire and their snit, is declining to give visas to the Russian UN delegates. They're being shut out. What is supposed to be the United Nations General Assembly. So the Russian Foreign Ministry summoned on Tuesday the U.S. envoy to say, why did you do this? You know, why did you shut out the Russian delegates to the UN General Assembly? And apparently the envoy said, well, because we can. And we don't want you Russians just mucking up our stories. So, terrible trouble here. And President Trump clearly wants to ensure that no narrative on Iran can possibly be heard except his own by keeping the Russian delegates out of the UN. This is a major diplomatic faux pas and will have repercussions down the road. Okay, over in Yemen, where they don't pick their targets too carefully, a Saudi airstrike hit a mosque, killing 5 children. And the U.S. is trying to justify it, saying that they were convinced there was Al-Qaeda inside that mosque, and that therefore they were justified in bombing it. Children be gosh darned. And while the airstrikes in North Yemen are causing civilian casualties, the real problem is likely to come as the Saudis have begun a new offensive against the port city of Hodeidah. Things are tensing up over there as well. Okay, turning to our domestic politics, Representative Devin Nunes is out there saying the deep state scheme has backfired. The Ukrainian scandal will be the end of Joe Biden's campaign. Now, for those not paying attention, apparently when Joe Biden was vice president and he was over in Ukraine, he arranged for some sweetheart deals for his son, Hunter. Okay? That's tacky no-no. So far, so good. Biden comes home. Hunter continues with his business. Trump becomes president. And now the big issue is, did Trump encourage Ukraine to prosecute Hunter Biden? Because that would, of course, be a major embarrassment to Joe Biden. Could possibly even fire him out of the campaign. And the big question is, was there a quid pro quo? And there are rumors that some $400 million in military aid for Ukraine were being withheld pending the prosecution. And that's what this big stink is all about. And so everybody wants a copy of the phone call between Ukraine's president and Donald Trump. Donald Trump is offering a transcript, which doesn't preclude the possibility of alteration. And so this one is definitely going back and forth, and everybody's screaming, impeach, impeach, impeach. Nancy Pelosi is calling for new laws so that sitting presidents can be indicted. Now, I'll be honest, I was under the impression that a sitting president could be indicted. They were going to indict Richard Nixon for obstruction of justice. Pelosi wants new laws so that Trump can be indicted here. CNN is reporting on mass defections, the Trump campaign from Ilhan Omar's Minnesota. Guess they're getting kind of fed up with her and her rhetoric, and they're switching over to Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump, for all of his failings, he makes sense. He's not out there being wacko banana the way Ilhan Omar is or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. He's trying to say, let's find workable solutions here. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez hits out at Democrats and Nancy Pelosi over impeachment. We have to impeach, we have to impeach, we have to impeach. And Alexandria, again, there's a problem. You have to have something to impeach for. There must be a high crime and misdemeanor, of which there isn't one. You can't just impeach the president just because you don't like him. It doesn't work that way. So Democrats are firing back and saying that she's really gone off the deep end on that one here. All righty. Remember Ed Buck? Major donor to the Democrats, major donor to Hillary Clinton. And he's had this long stream of gay lovers in his home that he shoots up with meth. 2 of them have died. The last one survived. And he finally got arrested. The judge set his bail at $4 million. Needless to say, Ed Buck is a little freaked out about that. I don't think he has the $4 million. But I mean, again, look at that kind of behavior. I mean, I'm okay with his being gay. I don't have a problem with that. But shooting up his gay lovers with lethal doses of methamphetamine, that, I think, crosses a line. Here's a little bit of history. Apparently, a while back in 1998, Beto O'Rourke was arrested for a burglary and a DWI. And he's out there trying to say, well, I've been very open about that. I've owned up to it. I've taken responsibility for it. But I think it's reflecting very, very poorly on him. And apparently, according to this article, which came out of Political Fact, Beto likes to wear dresses and also wrote a story about killing children. I don't know. I think the pathology there is a little bit dangerous here. Looking at the economic news, the latest numbers tell us that the global economic slowdown is accelerating dramatically. Things are shutting down. People don't have money. We, in this local Christmas Lake Village, had this community yard sale. And normally every year it's like crowded. They have to let people in one at a time. This year, no. People didn't show up because people don't have money to spend. You look at all those cars in the surplus, car lots. Okay. No, she can come in. She can come in. Okay. All right. We're currently staying in the last place we're going to be staying at before we move into our new home. And this is the cleaning lady who also happens to be a professional singer. So needless to say, Claire is very interested in her. Okay, apparently the official escort for 16-year-old global warming expert Greta Thunberg is a leftist hack funded by George Soros organization. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a phone call. Joe in Tennessee. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, that Swedish girl. What an embarrassment! I mean, it was so transparent. What a confused child she is.
Yeah.
Like, why should I pay attention to a ranting child? There's pretty much nothing more disturbing. Let alone the people behind her should be brought up on charges of child abuse to panic her and have her so hysterical about the world ending and stealing her childhood. I mean, it was sad, and it was funny. Some of the Hollywood folks, they jumped the gun and started saying, give her the Nobel Prize and all that. It just shows how crazy they are, that they can watch a hysterical child being manipulated and think it's a good thing because they're so into that global warming cause. This is really formed a form of religion, really, and it just showed like a demented religious fanatic. That's what that young girl looked like to me. You could have seen that with the Moonies or something, the same kind of crazy eyes. And, I mean, I'm part Swedish, so I have relatives over there, and they actually warned my mom and said, watch out for this one. She's, we don't really want to have any part of her.
Well, here's the point. Here's the point. Humans, adults, instinctively tend to believe children because we don't think that children know how to lie yet. And so that's why children are so often used for this kind of propaganda.
Well, Leo Zagami was on Alex Jones saying she looked to him like she was demonically possessed and needed an exorcism. And personally, I kind of agree with that. But I wanted to call really about the Trump-Biden Ukraine thing.
Yeah.
And I got to say, on this whole thing, the person I find the most blame with is Trump. And I'll tell you why. Because this whole Ukraine thing is coming out of the same government, CIA, press, media conglomerate that orchestrated the whole Mueller and Russia collusion hoax. And Trump is just sitting back, not putting these people in prison, not exposing the 302s. So if he gets burned on this, which I don't think so, it's ridiculous. But at the same time, it's one of those, come on, Trump, you got to start, when you don't punish your enemies, they sit around and they conspire. That's what conspiratorial, treasonous bastards do. And if he's not going to go and smack them around and put them in prison, they're just going to, just sit around and weave spells and form conspiracies and generate problems for him. And really, it's his fault. He's kind of playing it like sly and laying back like he's got all the cards. Well, they're not just going to sit there, Mr. Trump, while you don't do anything. And I heard Biden say, no reputable source found anything wrong with my Hunter's dealings with Ukraine. So that's going to be his defense, is that, all the Washington Times and the Washington Post and the New York Times, they're all going to defend him. So it's really also an example of why Trump not supporting the alternate media to get the message out about what corruption there was with Biden and Hunter Biden, how this is also Trump's fault for allowing us to be silent. I mean, I can't go on Facebook. If I wanted to go spread information about the corruption of Hunter Biden, I can't. The only way I can do it is to call your show, or, I'm limited now because Trump has allowed the big tech, the leftist big tech socialist globalists to suppress our speech. And so once again, all these issues that he's having now are all self-generated by him. I don't know why. I've been begging him, and I call often saying, you got to crush your enemies. You can be too smart by half. And one other thing.
Well, here's the point. Here's the point, okay? If, in fact, Donald Trump threatened to withhold $4 million in military aid to Ukraine unless they prosecuted Hunter Biden, that actually does rise to the level of an impeachable offense.
Well, I doubt that he said that to investigate Hunter Biden. I don't think he's that stupid. He might have said to look into the company that Hunter Biden was affiliated with, and that would be a legitimate concern if it's a corrupt company. So we'll see. I mean, I think it's the person who is bringing up this complaint is still unknown. It's the same people that fed the whole P dossier. So it's just it's the same crowd. And in a month or two, it's going to be proven to be as much of a fraud as the whole Russia collusion thing. But meanwhile, it's like Trump is sitting back he's got the Seth Rich murder just sitting there, he's got the Epstein videos just sitting there, and meanwhile they're still getting some good decent shots in on him because he still hasn't, he's let the alternate media be somewhat silenced. So all these issues that he's having now, I got to say, I like Trump. I've always supported him, but it comes a point where, we put you in power, and if you're not going to fight the fight, then what am I supposed to do?
Okay.
He said something really interesting. Oh, are you there still, Mike?
Yeah, you dropped out for a second.
All right. Well, he said something very interesting, which I think is a comment of our times about the Iran thing. Trump said that it's easier for a president to get into a war than get out. And, that's true.
That's true.
It's very sad. It's true, but when you think about it, you take a step back and go, our country is very, very sick that is true. And let's take the Democrats and the Republicans out of it. The fact that it is easier for a president to get into a war than out is really a sick comment on our country. And sometimes people say things and it's simple, but it exposes where we are as a nation. And it's very true. I remember calling up a radio show, and the guy said, "Oh, well, you're one of those extreme anti-war activists." And the peace people, the anti-war people, have become the extreme in this country, and the moderates are really the extremes. The extremes are the moderates on both parties. They're the real extremists. They're pro-war. What more extreme position is there than being for war? So.
Well, Lindsey Graham said the same thing the other day. He said, attacking is easy. Getting out of a war without looking like you're losing, that's the hard part.
I know, but
we're going through that in Afghanistan and Syria right now.
What does that tell you, Michael, about our institutions in this country? Because, being the fact that it's easy to get into a war tells you that all the institutions, the major power institutions, from the universities to the religious, to the government, to the media, they're all like pro-war lunatics. It's very sad. And how do you fight that? You really are up against a big demonic force, if you ask me, because what kind of force would be pro-war,
Well, you're up against the military-industrial complex. There's big money in war.
Yeah, but I mean, it's more than, the military-industrial complex. It goes beyond that. I mean, like I said, it used to be maybe 30 or 40 years ago to Vietnam. You had the churches out there protesting war, but they all scared now because they don't want to lose their 401. What is it? The
401k.
They get their tax deferred status. I remember there was a church actually near you in Indianapolis or something. It got bulldozed because it was against the Iraq War.
Yes.
And so that's then a message. And then anybody that was for spoke up about David Koresh, they got harassed. Or if you're a church and you're anti-abortion now, you get harassed. So the fact that the wars are easier to get into than get out. Number one person on my list is the churches, because they're the ones that really should be morally outraged by war more than anybody, and they don't seem to do anything. I don't remember seeing anything. The Catholic Church, boy, they'll talk about all kinds of social issues, immigration, and this or that. I don't remember hearing them say anything about Iraq and Afghanistan. I don't, and I don't hear them saying anything about, hey, let's not go into Iran. You don't hear that. But boy, the Pope will talk about, building a border wall all day long.
I'm sorry
anyway,
to cut you off.
Mike.
I got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. Aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And getting on back to the news here, been an interesting development in the Jussie Smollett case. Apparently, police have found a gun in Osandaro Brothers' apartment, which appears to be the same weapon Jussie Smollett used in his music video on gun violence. I mean, we know the whole thing was a fake. It was a staged hate crime, and personally, if it had been me, I would have destroyed the gun, gotten rid of the evidence, but I guess people get sentimental about their guns. All right, let's go back to the phones here. Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
You better get that chicken soup out of the refrigerator, Mike. Well, it does help. I mean, are you going to do a full show today? I'm having
chicken soup after the show tonight.
Are you doing a full show?
I'm going to try and do the full show.
All right, Mike, I'm going to respond to Joe from Tennessee. Welcome to the empire. This is what it's like to live in the empire, and it's not about Joe Biden, it's about the system. The system protects itself. Democrat, Republican, up, down, left, right, doesn't matter. The church is run by human beings. It's corrupt, just like your politicians are corrupt. Nothing's changed. Like I keep saying, Mike, the wall, nothing's changed. The establishment is still there. Trump's put O'Brien in. He's part of that establishment. Barr's part of the establishment.
You know, governments may come and governments may go, but the corruption goes on forever.
You know, Mike, I probably doubt you watched it. Did you see Trump at the UN? He just seemed like he slouched speech today. He didn't seem like he was in his, his usual UN speech. Is very laxative from what I've seen, and like obviously it's like Greta Thunberg of the global warming. It's written down for him to read, just like her. It's written down by her, her handlers to read because she's a fraud because she's been indoctrinated to be a fraud. But with Trump, I know people still have hope on him, but I mean, he was saying how the elite, like the establishment are ruling over the people. Well, what about Saudi Arabia? He sold all these weapons to them. My God, I mean, I just don't understand how I can put it through people anymore. You're dealing with the establishments in Saudi Arabia, Israel, with Britain, with Brexit. Nothing's happened with that. I said that, right? I said nothing's going to happen with that because the system over there doesn't want it. They don't care about the people in Britain. They don't care about the people here. They don't care about the people in Syria. They don't care about the people anywhere. And it's not about money anymore. It's about power. And basically, like George Orwell said, putting a boot on people of lesser than you. That's it. They put their boot on your head or neck. That's what they want. They don't care. They got all the money they want. They have the power. It's just, that's it. At this point. And I don't know, Mike. I have no hope for Trump. I know people still. I know Joe from Tennessee and Tom from Florida still have hope, but I don't, man. I just wish he put Douglas McGregor in and Tucker Carlson as his as the White House spokesman or something. I just see the same group of people around, and nothing's changed. And the Republicans are going after Trump, like Mitt Romney, and this or that. How come they don't come out against Saudi Arabia or Israel? Because they're all bought off, right? That's it. So what's changed? I say this all the time. What has changed? Nothing's changed. You know what's changed? Well, actually, one thing's changed, Mike, is the Federal Reserve injecting money, liquidity into the banks. That's changed because I don't know if you know this, but up till October 10th, they're going to be pumping $25 or $75 billion into banks for liquidity because the banks don't have the money to cover they're broke.
They are, and they're not loaning money to anybody.
Yeah, isn't it amazing though, Mike? They can loan it. The banks loan them each other money.
Yep.
Right, but why don't everybody go to the Federal Reserve for a loan at 0% or at 1 or 2%? You know, Mike, do you see us getting out of this at this point? I just don't. I see.
No, I'm seeing a collapse. I'm seeing an inevitable collapse.
That's what I'm saying, because in 2008, and you're going to talk about this later with Britain, with that Thomas Cook travel booking agency. You heard about that, right?
Yep.
Now,
okay, Dustin, stay on the line. Dustin, stay on the line. I got to put you on hold. Got to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back. Aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're talking with Dustin in New Jersey. And Dustin, I'm fully in agreement with you that Donald Trump has been a tremendous disappointment. We had such high hopes for him going into the election. He was talking about putting Hillary in jail. He was talking about ending all of these foreign entanglements. He was talking about getting the economy back on track. None of that has happened.
And Mike, I got to go back before I talk about with Thomas Cook travel thing about Joe from Tennessee. Joe, if you take one step back from these people, you're dead. You've had it. You cannot step back from these people, and you cannot deal with these people because they will surround you and they'll overcome you. You have to go forward over these people, step on them. Trump didn't. He's lost, and that's he's lost.
He's a weak leader.
He is a weak leader. He's a very weak leader. He should have crushed these people. He hasn't. You give these people time to recoup. Multiple times he gave. We've lost. We've lost, and I don't know what's coming next, Mike. But it ain't good. Which leads me to Thomas Cook, which is another sign of the economic problems in the West.
Yes.
150,000 people stranded. And they got bailed out in 2008, Mike. Thomas Cook, they got bailed out, and this time they didn't get bailed out, which means the 2008 crisis has not ended. This is a continuation of a dead economy. It's dead. It can't be fixed. They know it. It's hanging on by basically chewing gum off of. I mean, it's bad. It's bad, and I don't think nobody can fix it at this point, and they know it. That's why all the banks are getting all this liquidity pumped into them, and it's not going to save them. That's it, Mike.
Well, that's the goal. The goal is to save the banks. To heck with the people, but the goal is to keep the banks going.
The problem is, Mike, if you don't save the people, we're all out of money, Mike. Have a good show, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Mike in Brazil. Mike, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. How are you feeling?
Well, I felt better. I'm feeling a little doped up. The doctor's already cut my prescription in half, and
What kind of medication, if I may ask, are you on?
Dicyclopentylthinkle Wagga Wagga. I have no idea.
If you can't pronounce it, don't take it.
Yeah, I know. That's the general theme. But, it was a doctor who recommended this, and so I took it, and that first day...
certified physician.
First day I couldn't even walk.
Yeah, I remember when they put me on oxycodone. I felt probably even worse than you feel today. And I swear to God, I will never go back to that thing. They said, well, it's very good for pain, but they never told me that it's going to mess up my head. They never told me that. So anyway, let me get to my point.
I think I'm going to become a Scientologist at this point.
Join the club, Mike. Join the club. Listen, the reason I called, I watched this presentation by Greta Thunberg, I believe is her name.
Yeah.
I I had to put a lot of effort to assist the whole video because I couldn't take it. I mean, she was so fake. And from the very beginning, when she opened her mouth, I said, this is George Soros' hand. It has to be. Because George Soros financed not only the speech that he went in the luxury hotel that she stays in Manhattan, which you know very well, probably better than me, that is very expensive. I used to live close by to Manhattan, so I know very well what the prices are. So not only that she's banking this girl's trip to the United States and all this adventure on a yacht, crossing the Atlantic and all that, and she had probably what you don't know is that they had two boats behind them, like 2 nautical miles distance. In case something happens to the yacht where she was, they would come in and rescue them, okay? You didn't know that. I know it.
No, I didn't.
I'm an ex-sailor, and I have friends who know this, both in Europe and in the United States. So this girl, her opening statement was so pathetic that I figured, I said, this got to be Soros' hand, nothing short of that. And she went on to say that we killed her dreams and we killed her childhood. And I was thinking, I said, what the hell is this girl to accuse me or you or anybody else for destroying her dreams, whatever they were? So, I felt like she was a complete fake. I mean, I've never seen something more fake than this in my entire life. And, it's like, my God, I mean, these people are just like, they lost their minds. And they're putting a lot of people say that she's got Asperger's syndrome, okay? No, she does not have that. What she does have is Down syndrome, okay? That's what she has. It's Down syndrome, okay? You better believe it because I used to work. I was a paramedic, and I've seen a lot of kids, and she's a mongoloid. Look at her face. She's got mongoloid features, which is a unmistakable part of Down syndrome kids. They look like
so obviously we're all supposed to feel sorry for her and therefore listen to what she has to say.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I listened. I mean, I had to drag myself to listen to what she had to say for the entire speech because I felt like breaking my windows in the house. Really, I felt so furious because this little girl, 16 years old, okay, and she's being taken advantage by these globalists, especially Mr. Soros, okay, because this is his hand. We have proof of it. There is a track left by him, okay? We can prove it anytime in any court of law that George Soros is behind this. So if George Soros thinks he's safe, he ain't, okay? That's what I can tell you. So the fact that they went to this great length, they used this disabled, this mentally handicapped girl, because she's mentally handicapped. She was completely hysterical. She fell short of tearing her clothes off her body. I mean, I'm sure you watched her as well. So I was thinking. I said the globalists must really be desperate. They imposed that climate tax. Now it's not carbon tax. It's climate change tax. So keep that in mind. The next thing, what's going to be on the agenda, is air tax.
Yes.
Breath of air you're taking, you're going to pay a 15-cent tax for that. Okay, so how's that for good news, for the 21st century? So there was another thing I was going to talk about, but I think I just forgot. I got caught up in this thing with Greta Thunberg. Anyway, Michael, listen, I hope you feel better because we really miss you. Every time when you're not on the air, it's really like a big void. I'm waiting for the 4:00 p.m. when your show starts, my local time here, and when I read your website that the today's show is going to be a repeat, I feel bad. Really, I go into depression. So listen, feel better.
Yes.
Get some good tea, like green tea or something that detoxify you. And what I can tell you is the best of luck, Mike, with all these drugs. Stay away from them if possible, because I know I had my experience with oxycodone, and believe me, I felt miserable. I I swear to God, I'll never, ever, ever touch again those
Well, like
pills.
I said,
And
my
with
doctor's already cut the dosage in half because she realized that it was too strong. So hopefully tomorrow I'll be a lot better.
But
Okay?
the doctor has to take into consideration your age as well. I mean,
Yes.
what may work well for the 30-year-old guy might not work for a 60-year-old guy. Okay, what I'm saying? I mean, because we're both the same age.
It's not just that.
You know what I'm saying?
It's this attitude of one size fits all, and my brain has never reacted well to psychotropic drugs. And I remember that one time when I was very young, I was given some antidepressants, and they almost drove me to suicide. So you got to be very, very careful.
Yeah, that's why I stay away from these drugs. Now I remember what I was going to, my last point, the reason I called.
Yeah.
The Pope, our venerable Pope, okay, in Italy, the Argentinian Pope, the globalist Pope. You know what this guy is preaching? He's preaching to make a compact between politicians and the church. He thinks that he's going to be the ruling church all over the world if given the opportunity. And I've seen it today.
There's nothing new with that. There's nothing new with that. It's called a concordat.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know what they call it.
They had one with
Italy. They call it a compact. Yeah, they call it a compact, and the compact supposedly is supposed to merge politics and religion. And then it came to my mind what you were saying about the one world government, that it rests on three pillars. Which one of them is religion, okay? So they first have to unify the entire world around the religion, and then they can go ahead and do the rest of the things that they have in mind. So anyway, Mike, let me not take more of your time, okay? I'm sure you have a lot of callers online. So listen, feel good, okay? Don't take those drugs anymore, all right? Just take green tea, detoxify your body. And listen, I hope I'm going to call you tomorrow again, okay? Take it easy now. Have a good show.
All right, thanks enough. We're going to switch over to Frank in Pennsylvania. Frank, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Thank you so much, Mike, for taking my call. Our last caller was right on the money. This young girl that they put up before the UN that was ranting and raving brought back memories of Squeaky Fromm. Remember Lynette Squeaky Fromm?
I remember Lynette Fromm.
Yes, and look at the eyes, and you can see the same insanity in this young girl, that she's completely, totally geesed up, and it was most likely from the Soros organization, where they take these young children and they make them believe something that is so ridiculous, and they pound it in these kids' heads that they become actually, I believe, off the pale of anything we consider reality. And the same thing happened in Cambodia. And if you remember that, Mike, and we're old enough to remember, Pol Pot's army was led by young children or teenage children that done that mass genocide. And this is the same cult I see happening with this global warming, where they are getting these young children and put so much propaganda in their head because they haven't lived life old enough to understand the true reality, that the reality they're being told, they believe it to be true and correct. And that's what's happening today with these young people, I think, with the global warming cult. And it is a cult, Mike. It is becoming a cult, a really scary cult. And I hope, hopefully, cooler heads will prevail. And you see this happen in slow motion, but we know what the goals are. Just like what they've done in 1913 with the Federal Reserve, and they took over our money system. Now they're going to take over all of our resources. That's what they're heading for, a global economy with a global, a carbon tax they're putting on. And like the guy said before, they're probably going to charge you for air to breathe. That's what they're doing. They want to control. And this is a really sad state of affairs we're in. Hopefully enough patriot voices like yourself, Mike, and I hope you feel better real quick, because we need you, Mike. We need you in the fight. That's all I got to say, Michael. Thank you so much for taking my call.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Steve Elkins. Aloha, Steve. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Steve, are you there? Steve going once, going twice. We lost him. Okay. All right, getting on back to the news here. Anyway, Representative Devin Nunes has said the Deep State has fired, and second, shouldn't be doing that. Deep State scheme backfired. The Ukrainian scandal will be the end of Joe Biden's campaign. I think they are absolutely correct about that. There's no way he can come out of this clean. All right, back to the phones. Al in New Jersey. Aloha, Al. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, Mike. How are you? I have an idea for Russia to get by the U.S. Prevention of the Russians to go to the UN. Putin can arrange for a telecast from Moscow. That is the answer.
Well, the problem is, who would he get to carry it on American TV?
Oh, and the UN. They have their own system, don't they?
Yeah, but how many people tune into it?
Oh, okay. Well, that was an answer. That was a solution. Okay.
I mean, it's a diplomatic faux pas for the United States to deny visas to the Russian delegates. And it's a slap in the face.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, just a thought.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we're going to let you go here. Getting on back to the news. Over in Hong Kong, the protesters have ransacked a mall. They're clashing in street battles with police. This has gone way beyond that extradition law, which has already been repealed. There's something else going on, and of course, China insists that this is all being set up by the United States. But apparently, there are barricades on fire, there's tear gas. This is getting really, really ugly. So we'll see what happens with that one. Alrighty. Over in Haiti, apparently a photojournalist got shot in the face as a senator opens fire outside Parliament. Two men, including a photojournalist, have been shot and injured by a Haitian senator who opened fire outside the country's parliament amid chaotic scenes as the government attempted to confirm the appointment of a new prime minister. Sherry Dunalio, an associated... Oh, there's the music. All right. We'll finish the story when we come back from the commercial. Aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones to Steve Elkins. Aloha, Steve. Welcome back to the show. What's on your mind?
I apologize for that drop there. A little problem here. No, I just want to stress the same thing that Justin and pretty much everybody else, Tom and everybody else, and what you've said. I am very, very, very disappointed in Donald Trump as a president. Just had to go back and look at the list of things I've written out here that I can highlight. Starting off with fixing the fraudulent voting system. He said he would eliminate the fraud, make it fair and square, and close that back door. He's not done that. The border wall, which he could have fixed by just writing an executive order and saying that I'm providing security to the American people and economic security, so to the U.S. taxpayer. That was necessary to do. He wouldn't do it. I don't know why he didn't do the executive order. He surely could have done it. That's a national emergency when your country is being invaded. Allowing sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, that he could have put his foot down on that and made an example of people like, yeah, it is. He could have made an example out of Jerry Moonbeam Brown and actually had him in cuffs for violating federal law on that. Stopping these needless wars. You talked about that on the campaign trail. Transparency, well, we don't have that. We have more surveillance on the American people, and his betrayal of Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, and Chelsea Manning is despicable.
Yes.
He's turned his back on people who've come out and told the truth of what's going on in corruption. And
he's turned his back on independent media.
Whistleblowers. Yeah, on independent media too.
And,
so I'm going to say he is
really
a phenomenon.
Hard to give him that
you know
job.
what I'm talking about when I say that. I'm going to say he is a phenomenon, but he's a phenomenal disaster as a president. This has been a lousy presidency, and I can't imagine 4 more years of him. He's going to be hounded for 4 more years by the Democrats. They're going to keep going. They must have a Rolodex of scandalous ideas that they just go from one to the other. But if he gets in, we'll have 4 more years of pretty much, well, we're going to have some hard economic times coming up here pretty soon. That's for sure. But I can't imagine 4 more years of continue on the same pathway of meddling, interfering with other countries' governments, regime changes, coups, illegal coups, military coups. This is a failed presidency. This is a failure of a presidency, and I had such high hopes also, just like you did. Very disappointed. What do you make out of Hillary Rodham Clinton meeting with Elizabeth Warren not too long ago and talking? What do you make out of that one?
I don't know. I'm getting a suspicion that Hillary Clinton wants to run as Warren's VP, which would put a target on VP's Hillary Warren's back, rather. And wouldn't be the first time a vice president shot a president out of office. So,
yeah, just look to Lyndon Baines Johnson. There you go.
Yeah, and or even George Bush and Ronald Reagan. I don't want to see Donald Trump in another 4 years, and the only reason I would tolerate another 4 years is if Hillary's running on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
Anyway, Steve, stay on the station. We got to do station identification. We'll be right back. Aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443, and we have Steve Elkins on the line. We also have Mike in our control room saying Hillary would have been much, much worse, and yes, she would have. So apparently Steve Elkins has dropped now. So the phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Okay, we started this story a little while ago, and it's basically how this photojournalist in Haiti was shot in the face by a Haitian senator outside the country's parliament amid chaos scenes as the government attempted to confirm the appointment of a new prime minister. Sherry Dionalio, Associated Press photographer, was wounded in the face, and a second man, Leon LeBlanc, a security guard and driver, was also injured in the incident. Now, although doctors were reported to be removing bullet fragments from Dionalio's face, the injuries are said not to be life-threatening. Well, that's a good thing. Okay, so you have the senator, Jean-Marie Ralph Fathier, a senator from the north of the country, draw a handgun as he tried to leave the parliament precincts through a crowd of protesters. Now, that's a bad, bad situation when you have your senators taking shots. This machine is not... All right, let's try... Okay, apparently U.S. forces have massacred a wedding party. 70 people killed. And I know the usual excuse is because during wedding parties, the celebrants like to fire their guns into the air. And the U.S. forces assume they're under attack and they'll drop a bomb. Okay. That is very ugly. So, what a way for a wedding party to end. Maybe I just have a soft spot in my heart for wedding parties. All right, the Department of Defense is threatening to kill millennials with a stealth bomb in the Area 51 raid. Now, the good news is a lot of people showed up for Alien Stock, the music festivals. There were in these two towns near the fence. The towns made out like bandits with the influx of cash. And but in the end, only 75 people actually showed up at the fence to Area 51. 2 were arrested. Department of Defense was going to call in a stealth bomber here. Here's an interesting story that no crime goes unpunished. Apparently back in 1985, repeat that, 1985, TWA Flight 847 left Cairo for Athens. After arriving in Athens, a new crew boarded the flight and departed for Rome. Just after takeoff, two Lebanese men speaking Arabic hijacked the plane using a pistol and grenades they managed to smuggle past airport security. The plane's course was altered for Beirut in Lebanon. Upon landing, the hijackers released Nicene passengers in exchange for fuel. As Time later reported, millions watched the drama unfold from their television sets and radios. I remember this, actually. Captain John Testrake argued with air traffic control at Beirut International Airport after they were initially refused for a landing. And he's basically said he's pulled a hand grenade pin. He's ready to blow up the aircraft if he has to. We must, I repeat, we must land in Beirut. We must land in Beirut. No alternative. Eventually, the Beirut control call said, very well, land quickly, land quietly. Okay, Testrake then detailed the threats against passengers. They are beating the passengers. They are threatening to kill the passengers. We want fuel now. 5 minutes at most, or he's going to start killing passengers. Classical hijacking. One of the hijackers then took over, telling the control tower the plane is booby-trapped. If anyone approaches, we will blow it up, either refueling the plane or blowing it up. No alternative, he added. Okay, now the whole purpose of this hijacking was to free some Lebanese prisoners. But apparently last September 20th, CBS News reported that a suspect in the hijacking was arrested while on a cruise in Mykonos. Now this guy is like 65 years old. He's not been identified by police, but he's rumored to be either Lebanese journalist Mohammed Salah or Hamidi. And the suspect's role in the hijacking has not been disclosed. So that's a long, long time. Trump reveals that San Francisco is guilty of environmental violations due to rampant homelessness. And yeah, it's kind of hard not to have damage to the environment from all the homeless, with all the pooping in the streets and the needles and the tents and the rest of it. Okay, but it's one thing for Trump to say, you must fix it. And quite another for San Francisco to say, how? These people are homeless because there are no jobs. These people are homeless because there's no economy. What are you going to do about it? Okay, over in Europe, Google has won a landmark EU case over the right to be forgotten. Now, the right to be forgotten is an issue that affects the globe, where people have become aware that Google and Facebook and YouTube keep all your data forever, and there is no mechanism to erase it all, to say, I want you to forget all about me. I don't want my data going on out there to telemarketers. But Google scored a major victory overseas Tuesdays as Europe's highest court ruled that the right to be forgotten online only applies inside the European Union. For people here in the United States of America, you are still stuck. Okay. The NSA is archiving all encrypted emails and transactions, knowing they'll be able to decrypt most digital files in about 3 years, thanks to quantum computing. Okay, this is like the third time the NSA has tried this bluff. Quantum computers can be very fast, but they have no special ability above normal computers. And when it comes to encryption, if you don't have the method, you will never crack the code. I wrote an article a while back called Rivero Challenges the NSA, in which I laid all of this out. Okay? The Allies were not able to break the German Enigma code until they actually physically captured a machine and could deduce the method. Of the two steps of breaking a code, determining the method and finding the key, determining the method is the impossible part. So I don't care how much quantum computing the NSA has, they're not going to break these codes. And I'll be happy to send them a challenge, like I did before. All right, let's take a phone call from Tom in Florida. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Michael. Good day to you. Yeah, Mike, what's on my mind? Did you happen to see Trump's speech at the United Nations yesterday and the day before?
Yeah.
That was, look, Michael, I know, we have Dustin and a few other people, they're not going to vote for Trump, but listen, Trump has brought out something that's never happened as far as I can remember following politics. He's telling the world, we're not going to be the sucker anymore in the United States for taking all these illegals and even legals in here. We are done. We have to have a timeout on this immigration invasion. And the reason I bring this up, because Miami Herald in the Miami Herald, Michael, on Saturday's paper, they have the figures of immigration. The Hispanics are 68% of Dade County's population. Mm-hmm. In 1962, Michael, in 1962, Dade County was 87% Anglo. Mm-hmm. 1962. Now it's at 68%. Broward County, okay, and Palm Beach County, where Trump's actually got a place, is going to be at probably 50-50 in the next 5 years, Hispanic and Anglo. Broward County is currently at 54% Anglo, and the other are black and Hispanic. Basically, this was all by design, by the Schwein. They designed this, Michael, from Kennedy was in presidency. This is all by design to flood this country and make this a Hispanic-speaking country. And you think about what's going on with the Herald. And you know what Maurice Ferrer, who just died, the mayor of Dade County, said? And he had an obituary. And he was famous. You can read it up in the Herald. He was famous for saying, we're going to turn this into an international city where the Anglos don't control the county government anymore. That was from Maurice Ferrer, who happened to be a Puerto Rican. He wasn't a Cuban. He's Puerto Rican. I read the article, it made me sick. This has all been by international design to flood this country, Europe, everything. And Trump said it at the speech yesterday, 2 days ago at the United Nations. He's basically telling everybody who's listening, hey, this is all, for all practicality, a flooding of our country. Look at California, where Ronald Reagan comes from, Michael. Yeah. The biggest regret he had was allowing, when he signed that immigration bill, they Democrats lied their filthy heads off that they were going to stop it then. They now got 7 million in that state. 7 million. Okay? Texas is almost gone. Like I said, now that Trump's brought this speech out, and I bring this to your attention, Michael, now that Trump has gave this speech at the UN, I want to see now him go arrest these mayors, these governors, and these commissioners, and these councilmen, and these states that have sanctuary cities. Okay? Yep. Dustin State would be a good start right there in New Jersey. Okay? And Dustin, he said something that was kind of sly to me a month ago where, they do your lawn and all that. No, they don't do my lawn, Dustin. I do my own lawn, and you know what? I'll hire an American to do my lawn. I don't have to hire somebody illegal or somebody who's holding a green card. I can try to hire an American citizen. They have yellow pages, want to hire somebody. Yeah, you might pay an extra $5. But you know what? This is all, in all practicality, this is a total wipeout of the country. That Ignacio Cortez, that fool, okay, that fool is talking about a Green New Deal and all these Democrats with all these cars that all these people are going to be driving. What, you're going to have 27 more million cars or 45 million more cars on the road, more toilet paper, more water, more sewage. I mean, who's kidding who here? These Democrats should all be held for treason against this country. And Trump said it at the United Nations in front of everybody. The world was listening. The world was listening to Trump. But when he said, we've had enough. Look at what's going on in Minneapolis. I have a friend who lives up in Minnesota, Michael. He said the crime rate's off the chain in Minneapolis. The Somalians, they have crime all over. Portland, Maine is off the chain. Look, you saw what happened over the weekend in Chicago and all these other cities, right?
Yes.
Over another 100, it was another 30 shot in all these major cities, dead, and another 150 shot. Baltimore, Philadelphia, Detroit, Chicago, L.A. Count up the figures through the FBI. Let them go get the FBI figures and look at what's going on. It's unbelievable. It's worse in Vietnam. And they're all controlled by Democrats. Every one of these cities are controlled by Democrats. Even in the great state of New Jersey, where Gus is from, controlled by Democrats. Demon rats, Hollywood leftist dark angels. That's who's controlling our country. Trump told the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help him God. So help me God. Because look what's going on, Michael. He's basically telling you this is all by design since 1962 when Kennedy was the president. And all these people, matter of fact, actually it was his brother, Teddy, and the guy named Manny Cuellar in 1965 with this Immigration Act. That was the final curtain for Anglo-Saxony in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Look it up. When Kennedy and that Manny Cuellar, a Hispanic Jew, wrote that bill for all these groups to come in here and not assimilate, what's going on here? These people are not assimilating. Hell no, they're not assimilating. Bullshit. Excuse my French, but it's bull. And they're not assimilating. They come here, they eat the lunch, and they don't care, and Trump told the truth. That's what I would like to point out to your listeners. Trump is telling the truth. He's only one man. I don't know how much he can do. I'm with you, Michael. The article, what is that, Title 8? Was it the Constitution? He's got to enforce that law. These laws have got to be enforced because they're not being enforced whatsoever. Ron DeSantis was on Herald the other day saying there will be as long as he's governor, there will never be a sanctuary city, any city in Florida, the state of Florida. Well, he's on record for saying that. Governor. You come here, you got to come here legally through the channels. You come here legally, you take the pledge and you do all your, stuff that you have to go through to become a citizen, which I have no problem with. Michael, if you want to come to this country and you want to follow the rules, the laws, and all that, fine. That's great. You're an American, wonderful. But
hello? Okay, are you there?
My phone equipment glitched out. I'll have to call back.
All right. Yeah, we seem to have some issues here. Okay, so on back to the news here, and the phone lines are open. 800-818-8334. As far as what Trump says, I don't listen to him anymore. I want to see what Trump does. And so far, he has not done a whole heck of a lot. That's just the reality of it. That is just the reality. Okay, we have a caller from 800. Oh, that's our call-in line. It's 800-313-9443. That's our call-in number. 800-313-9443. All righty. And let's see what we've got to talk about. Okay, we have Bill in Florida. Aloha, Bill. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, hi, Mike. Hope you're feeling better there. Well, I was wondering what you're being treated for there, but that's not important there. I called because
it's a serious hangnail.
Well, that's not so bad. I got to go
just
in
send me to Cedars Sinai.
Thursdays. Anyhow, I was just calling about Tom. You know, I think Tom is a good guy there, but I think he's bought into the baloney. He's just bought into a system, a belief that he hasn't woken up yet to see how the justice system is broken. The whole system in this United States is broken, and somehow he's focused on immigrants and Latinos and this and that, and in the meantime, the big guys are getting away with murder, and he's just like sleeping through this whole process there somehow. Anyway, that's all I had to say. You still there? Did you hang up on me?
No, I'm still here.
Anyway, that's it. I hope you're feeling better there. Get you later.
Yeah, me too. We got to take a break for commercials. Back with another phone call after these few words. And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Aloha, Dustin. What's on your mind?
Oh, my God. I don't know how to respond. The previous caller just said it. Like, time is like, we all know about illegal immigration before Trump come in. But nothing's been fixed, nothing been changed. And Tom, you said Trump's only one man. The problem is he's only put people around him who's against him, the neocons. They are for globalism, they're for the wars, they're for open borders. So if Trump's only one man, but he's responsible for his own being. He's his own man. He put those people around him. Why didn't he put people in that'll secure the border, that'll arrest these people? Tom, you keep saying people should be arrested. These people should be arrested for allowing sanctuary cities. But nothing has been done. When is it going to be done? When? When Trump's third term is in? I mean, come on, man. They're shooting bazookas at Trump and he's shooting spitballs back. I mean, come on. If he's who he say he is, then he should have been on the attack years ago. He's not. He's not. And I don't know how anybody can come back from what I said. Do you, Mike? I mean, at this point, I just don't see, I don't understand why people don't see what's going on. Like, you can't say Trump's the only man doing this, Trump's standing up to this, but nothing has been fixed and changed. That's what I'm trying to get at to everybody. If you're going to fight the system, you better go all out now. You don't wait. What are you going to wait till your second term? What happens if there's no second term, Mike? Trump's a one-term president. What comes next? Elizabeth Warren. That's it. It's over. It's over anyway. It's over. How you can't fix this at this point. I don't even know where to go. Who's after Trump on the Republican side anyway? At this point, I don't know. I know Tom. Let me tell you, Tom, Joe is great people. I'd have a beer with them any day. But I think they're just delusional, thinking Trump is going to change anything. Trump has nobody around him that's with him. You got to have people around you with you to fight. Mike Pompeo ain't going to do it. You know that, right, Mike?
Yep.
And what about Elliot Abrams and Gina Hatt? They're still there. I didn't put those people in, Mike. You didn't. Tom and Joe didn't. Trump did. So maybe that means that Trump believes in what these people believe. At the end of that's what I think. I think the people he puts in around him is what he really believes at this point. Mike, have a good end of the show.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch to Brian in Canada. Aloha, Brian. Pardon me. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, first of all, I just hope you get a lot better because I'm watching you on your YouTube feed and that medication's knocking you out. Yes. But changing gears, you're talking about the politics of Trump in the States, and I'll tell you something. You guys in America have got nothing compared to the circus that we have right now going on in Canada. We have Justin Trudeau, of course, who's totally unelectable. I mean, there's an election coming up October 21st for most Americans aren't aware of. It's a federal election, and Justin Trudeau is fighting for his political life. They just tried to destroy him with the scandal of him blackfacing himself from 18 years ago. Yes, it's that bad in Canada that they have to drag something up that happened over 18 years ago and throw it and throw that dirt in the politician's face. And then we have Andrew Scheer of the Conservative Party in Canada. And the guy is also unelectable because he had the nerve to go in a recent McLean debate on national television and sing praise about how much he just loves the criminal state of Israel, which to me was so sickening. I mean, he just basically threw the Palestinian Authority under the bus. And the alternative to them is a party called the New Democratic Party in Canada, and they're unelectable because they have no platform, and all they're doing is riding the coattails of the other parties. So it's ridiculous. And Canada also has a Green Party with Elizabeth May just spouting the crap that's out there about that we have less than a decade to live unless we make all changes to our politics of climate, which is so ludicrous. So basically, Canada's left in a lurch. I mean, you guys complain so much about the politics down there. Come on up to Canada and live the political circus we're going through right now. It is so sickening. I just wanted your opinion on that matter. Your thoughts, Mike?
Well, first of all, I think it's ridiculous to go back and judge people based on behaviors they did 18 to 20 years ago, which at the time were socially acceptable. And we can't go around, judging everybody's life on things they've done in the past at a time when such things were acceptable. We're leading to a generation of people who are saying, I shouldn't do this today, I shouldn't do this tomorrow, because 30 years from now it'll come back to haunt me.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike, because they're just throwing them under the bus now. And they're using that dirt to destroy people. Anyway, I just hope you get better, my friend, because take care of yourself and get better, okay?
I certainly will try. This is not going to last. I'm pulling back on the medication. We'll be back after these commercials. And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And apparently, this fighting that's going on, this infighting in Washington, D.C., where Beto O'Rourke and Alexandria Cortez, and they're all just going back and forth and back and forth. Okay, let's see what we got here. Trump Labor Department has been slammed for wholly inadequate overtime pay rule that leaves behind millions of rulers. So they just don't have the money. They just don't have the money. The money junkies have all the money. They're not willing to give any of it up. All righty. They're saying the dam could break on Thursday. Here are 12 quotes show the Democrats are getting ready to impeach Donald Trump. On what? On what? What high crime and misdemeanor has he committed? It's amazing. Can't impeach a president just because you don't like him. Okay, back to the phones here. Peter in Los Angeles. Aloha, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Mike, you sound awful. I'm glad
Thank you, and you're quite ugly.
It's an improvement from yesterday when you weren't on. That's good.
Okay.
Listen, I think that there's a measure of truth in the guys who are usually fighting it out on the Trump battle, which is Dustin on one side and then Tom and Joe on the other. And I lean toward the Dustin side, I must say. I think that Trump is an improvement over Hillary, certainly, but
yes,
but the system here, it requires
not by much.
Yeah. the system requires more. It requires more courage, more leadership, more strength than Trump is capable of mustering. And what's clear to me is that this is a system that will never ever reform itself from within. It would take somebody of really towering strength to use executive power to as Steve Elkin said for the border or to use the recall laws on.
What we
on
need
the,
now is a dictator.
Yeah, and then of course, where are we then? But of course, the system is a dictator now. It's a dictatorship of a bunch of billionaires that run everything.
No, we need one dictator who's a benevolent dictator who's going to clean out this country.
Well, yes, but then of course, then we've got a dictatorship, the Plato's enlightened, whatever that was. Despot, but then we've got a dictator, and how do you get out of that as well?
I volunteer.
Yeah, I do too. But Mike, it will never reform itself from within. It will have to be us forcing it upon them, and be it peaceful by just non-compliance with any of their rules and regulations, or not paying our taxes en masse, or something, or more than that, which may be required. But it will never be reformed, and it will take a benevolent dictator, but let's face it, there's nobody like that on the horizon. There's nobody willing to surround the Federal Reserve with troops and use the RICO laws on them. There's nobody, able to arrest the governor of California and the mayor of Los Angeles and so on. But there's nobody out there that's willing to do that has the strength to do that. That's what it will take. The country is failing around us. This guy does not have the strength for it. He's better than some other alternatives, but in the end, he's inadequate. He's sorely inadequate, and in the end, this is going to have to be done by us, we the people. I don't know if it can be done that way either, but that's the only way it will get done. So.
Apparently, Nancy Pelosi has declared the formal start of an impeachment inquiry. I don't know what that means.
We are really, it's inoperative from every sense. This kabuki theater we have in Congress and the politics and the press, it's just, and we're just being manipulated by these bankers and Wall Street guys and people who are just screwing us 6 ways from Sunday, and it's there is no way out within the system. They've seen to that, and so it has to be outside the system, and so be it. So be it. If that's what it takes, let's get it done. So that's my opinion on it.
All right. Well, thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Mark in South Carolina. Mark, what's your opinion?
Hello, Mike. Peter is so good. I wish you'd have him on for a whole hour one day. And you are too. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're on the air.
Oh, okay. Well, here's what I need to say. I want to say, Trump is a Zionist. Zionist plan is to flood America with illegals and all kind of everybody else from all around the world to water us whites out and down and to be the minority. I think Trump's been faking it all along. If he gets reelected, he'll forget all about the wall. I really believe that.
And I think so too.
You won't hear a word out of him. That has been his plan right along, to fool all of us to get elected and to be working for the Zionists, which he is one of. But that's all I need to say, Mike.
Well, we certainly haven't seen any progress on the wall, and he's had 2 years rather, to work on it. And the illegals are still pouring across like crazy.
I think he's been faking it all along. He's been like Peter said, it's a kabuki theater, and he's good at fooling people. I think, like I say, if he's reelected, which I really don't think he will be, but if he is, you'll hear no more about the wall.
Yeah.
They'll just say, "Oh, it's the Democrats' fault." And one more thing, did you hear about David Icke's new book?
No.
He's got a new book out, and I think everybody should look it up.
What's it called?
I really, I'm at a loss for remembering exactly what it's called, but it's about how the Zionists are controlling controlling everything, especially all the web and Google and Facebook and this and that, which, we all already knew, but David Icke takes it to a whole another level. And I think everybody should either, read it or...
Well, I'd like to get him on the show. I know he knows who I am, but I'd like to get him on the show.
Oh, I wish you could. Maybe he will come on if you could somehow contact him.
All right, well, listen, Mark, we're going to let you go and switch over to Mark in North Carolina. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. First of all, how do you feel? What's going on? What happened to you? You hurt yourself or something?
It's just a medical issue, and the doctor gave me some medication for it, and the medication is worse than the medical issue. She's already cut the dosage in half because it's just making me so dopey.
All right. Hope you feel better,
I'm not dying or anything like that.
All right. That's good. I'm watching you on YouTube. You look like you're kind of out of it. So that's why I was, concerned. But what I wanted to call about, too, is what's going on with this Biden thing. I mean, I personally got no use for Trump anymore. I go along with what some of the other callers like Dustin and a few others. The man is a great disappointment.
Yes.
He's not capable of taking on the enemy, and I'm talking about the domestic enemy that's bringing this country down. And he is basically in he's in the globalist, Zionist, and other enemy's hands, and there's no question about that. But my thing is this: with this thing, what happened to Ukraine, Biden's crook. He's on tape threatening Ukrainians to get rid of that prosecutor who was actually investigating Biden's son, who, by the way, is a crackhead who had just been kicked out of the Navy for being a cokehead, he puts him in charge. Then he's got a big position, getting like $1 million a year for that in that gas company there in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So this is what the Democrats want to start impeachment on. This is going to get Trump reelected by a landslide. That's all that's going to do. What I am concerned about, though, is that the neocons within the Republican Party may use this in the Senate, like Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, and a few others, and might look. You want us to vote the right way in the impeachment thing? You better go along with blah 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 blah. Let's say going to war with Iran or something like that, or pushing us even closer to World War III with Russia. This is what bothers. This is one of the things that bothers me about this. This is a mess, and what I believe, I'm not quite as pessimistic as some of the people we've just on before with you, but I believe we need our own Putins in this country. Too bad, like, you ever see, I know you saw that Boys from Brazil and all that, and I read the book too. The guy made a clone of Adolf Hitler. Well, too bad back in 1953 or something, or 52, when Putin was born, he didn't have one of these German doctors there that cloned Putin and maybe send him send him to the United States secretly. Maybe that, because that's about what it takes to save this country right now. We don't have anybody other than maybe Tulsi Gabbard. And by the way, I've got to see how Tulsi is going to react with this nonsense now. so far I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her say anything about this, and that's kind of disappointing. There should be no question that this is total nonsense. You want to impeach Trump on something, impeach him for bombing the Syrians without congressional permission. Impeach him for what he's doing with Iran right now, provoking possible World War III and taking orders from a dirtbag like Netanyahu, you know, and from the Saudis, from, what's his name, Mohammed bin Salman, you know, impeach him for stuff like that. But for this nonsense, for Biden, personally, I think Biden's finished. By the way, this is going to catch up on him. I've
just
other people online.
Biden.
You know,
Biden won't need to be impeached by anybody, least of all Trump. This is going to destroy his career. His corruption with his son.
Actually, you should put him in jail for what he did. I mean, this was criminal. Okay,
yes.
He tried to, use the United States and our money, our tax money, to bribe not to bribe, to put pressure on the Ukraine government to get rid of a prosecutor that was investigating his son that shouldn't have had anything to do with his gas company in the first place. His son's a crook. I mean, he's a drug addict. What was he doing over there in the first place? With a big position, he knew nothing about gas or oil. The guys with a cokehead kicked out of the Navy. That means he most likely got bad paper. That's the bad discharge, that he used to use when I was in the Army, Most likely he got bad paper. And then he gets a position like this. Oh, my goodness, and the Democrats are so stupid. If they think this is going to bring down Trump, this is going to bring them down. The only thing like I'm afraid of is Trump is so weak, so meek that he might be
don't miss the opportunity.
And that he might be threatened by the neocons to say, look, we'll only support you if you do this and this and that. Otherwise, we'll just let you be impeached and kicked out of office, But that concerns me. Because these people are evil. I think the neocons are some of the most evil scum on the face of this earth.
Well, I think they're all evil. Republicans, Democrats, neocons, neo-libs. I think they're all of a kind. All right, Mark, we're going to let you go and switch over to Keith Rogers. Yeah. Keith, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, you should have called. I would have done your show for you, Mike. Anyway, by the way, I hope you get a puppy when you get your new place here. What I have noticed, and a lot of Americans get indignant when they think of immigration and stuff, but this is the karma of decades of illegal wars, the massive global displacement of people, where in order to get, say, Del Monte to get their slave workers down in some foreign country, say down in El Salvador or something like that, they've displaced people. The CIA have had their massive death squads. It's no different than over in Syria and stuff. The CIA stay behind forces of ISIS and stuff. I mean, even the New York Times has now admitted that ISIS is basically a creation of NATO and everything, as well as Turkey. But this is what we're seeing today. And so when I listen to Americans, my fellow Americans, gripe about what's wrong in our country here, imagine you're in that position in some foreign country where the U.S. has put in a Vichy government, and you've had to live under those circumstances for God knows how long, watching your own people die, get slaughtered, whether it's the police doing it or some security forces. This is all a blowback of what we've seen done overseas, and now it's coming home to America. And if anyone had the nerve to read these CIA logs of the interrogations of those in Vietnam, of why they joined the North and stuff, it would tell you exactly. It's this imperialism which is a problem, and we today are a direct result of allowing this stuff to happen in our names.
Yeah.
So, anyway, are you going to get a puppy? Oh, by the way, did Mike send you over that thing, that Greta thing? She's listed on that IMDb thing as a child actress.
Not yet. I mean, I did get the RAM that Alan sent me. It's kind of cool.
All right. Well, You got a break here. But anyway, she's listed as a child actress. Anyway, have a good day there, okay? My best to you.
All right, back after these few words. Aloha, America. Welcome back to our show today. And get things sorted out here. There we are. All right, there we are. So we're going to go back to the phones here to Steve in West Virginia. Aloha, Steve. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I just want to say that I agree with some of your other callers about Trump. He's definitely not up to it. And I knew things were bad when he surrounded himself with Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah. Bolton.
I mean, Rudy Giuliani, anybody that, like you, that knows about 9/11 has lived through the whole 9/11 thing from the beginning. The Rudy Giuliani was in it. And when Trump put him out there, I just knew it. And then when Lindsey Graham joined on too, I mean, you just knew it was bad from that point on. And, you know, he hired Bolton. He's got this guy, Pompeo, who's clearly a neocon. All the neocons, all the Bush era neocons in his administration. I mean, you know, and then you got these radio shows that are supporting this QAnon thing where they're saying, "Oh, it's part of the plan. It's part of the plan." No, it isn't. It's they're just trying to buy time and to get him reelected, and then he'll start a war with Iran and do all sorts of other things. I bet you he'll even let the Democrats, you know, take away some of the guns. You know, it's just I don't trust him. I voted for him, but I'm not voting for him again. But I'm not voting for a Democrat either. I'm just gonna either write somebody in or stay on the sidelines. But I'm definitely not going to vote for Trump.
You can write me in.
The only thing that could change.
Go ahead and write me in.
I will write you in. Yes. The only thing that could change my mind about Trump is if a lot of people got arrested, but not just got arrested, they would have to be convicted, actually convicted of the crimes before he got elected. Because they could arrest a bunch of people, and then after he gets reelected, you know, they put in like a fake jury and get them or a judge or whatever, and just let them all go and say, "Oh, well, we tried." So yeah, but I don't trust Trump. And one other quick thing, Mike. You know, with as bad as things are, there's just no way the United States is going to beat Russia and China. There's something about the karma that it's not going to let it happen. So these people that, you know, that believe in the sensationalism and stuff, it's just not going to happen. We're not going to beat Russia and China. We're not going to rule the world. It's not going to happen. Nope. We're going to go down.
We're a falling empire.
We're going to go down. Yeah, until we correct this problem we have, we're going to go down. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break for station identification. We'll be right back after these few words. And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones to Doreen in Vancouver. Aloha, Doreen. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, hi, Mike. I hope you're feeling better. I guess the change in the weather, all what you've been through, your immune system is having a tough time adapting
all of that.
all that. Yeah,
all of that.
Yeah, all of that. It is. Anyway, the gentleman that wanted to know about the book that David Icke had just put out, it's called Trigger. And if you go on David Icke's homepage, he's got lots of little videos of excerpts that he's put on there about what's happening in the world today. There's a good one on today, and he even mentions who did 9/11. He's got a lot of good information. Secondly, about Trump and what's going on in the United States. Trump was never a politician. He was a showman on TV before he became a politician. So he was just, he's still doing his job. being a showman in type. But the other day when he walked out after that young lady ranted on, she looked like she did have a some kind of mental problem. But that made me feel good when Trump got up and just walked away like, I'm not listening to this. That was a good move he made. Yeah. But it doesn't matter who they put up for you to vote for. It's like like the gentleman said, what's going on in Canada. It doesn't matter. I don't know what happened to Layla. She's not on anymore after she made a rant that she did in June about, she even said them. It doesn't matter who you vote for. They're both owned by the same owners.
Yep.
They don't have anyone. If you were going to vote for anybody, like Dustin said, who do we have? Rand Paul would be your best. I mean, Ron Paul. But then what will they do to him? Because the same people who own the politicians own the media, so they won't be giving him any time in like they did to Ron Paul. They'll just or go after him. So people should, go to if you want to find out if David Icke could come to and be interviewed by you, Mike. You could go through Richie Allen, and you've been on the Richie Allen show because I've heard you quite a few times. And Richie Allen is part of David Icke's little circle. And I know David Icke would love to come on your show, but I will say, from what I've been listening to, the American, your callers are really waking up. They are waking up to what's happening. And now I just hope that you get some vitamins, minerals, and get your immune system, and have a good rest, Mag. That's what you need.
That's definitely what I need. Well, Claire shoves vitamins down my throats every morning.
Yeah. And minerals and stuff like that. You see, when we get a feeling like that, we usually go to Hawaii, but you just come from there.
Yeah.
But you just need time to relax. And you still got all your furniture to move in your new house.
Yeah, and the new car and everything. You know what's really weird, though? You know what's really weird is wandering around here and talking to the Indianas, and they're all going, you moved from Hawaii to here?
Yeah, I know.
Incredulity on their face.
Yeah, I know, but and even the climate change that you're going through, that's having an effect on you on Claire. But anyway, I'll go. But I just wanted to let the people know. And Dustin, if you're out there, go to David Icke's homepage. He's got lots of stuff on there that you would understand. And sometimes I have a hope with Trump, but I doubt it. He's on the same level as Hillary and the rest of them. Yep. And what they want, if people just look at what's happening in Europe, Denmark and Sweden used to be wonderful countries. Now even the UPS can't deliver parcels in the no-go zone. Like the world is just and so that's what they want to do. They just want to take your sovereignty away. That's what they want. No sovereignty. You can't stand up and say, I belong to this country. I get involved in the American system there, and probably the Americans will wonder why, because I have a beautiful grandson and his family that live in California, and I want to make sure he's okay. Okay, Mike, have a good show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. And in 2020, I'm voting for Claire. All right, let's switch over to Mo in Florida. Aloha, Mo. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, you're a real trooper, I got to say. Good inspiration for everybody. I know it's not easy making the transition and all that, and but everybody loves you. They do, because you're real. You're not fake. And, But the last caller, she just epitomizes your whole show. What a beautiful woman! I mean, she just does it like it is. People are waking up, Mike, and you've been a big part of that. I'll say one thing, and then I'll let you go because I'm sure you got other callers waiting. But if Trump was anybody else but the president, and you were trying to figure out who was running him, it would take you about 5 minutes to figure out that Israel, the Likud party, Netanyahu, the Zionists run Trump. I mean, his wife, his daughter, changed her name to what is it, Jael? She's a Zionist. They're supremacists. I mean, it's sickening. It really is sickening. This guy's talking about putting up walls for, yeah, it makes sense. Just do what Israel does. I mean, the bottom line is that, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that we're all equal, but yet Israel's different. And if you look at who funds him, all you got to do is talk to Sheldon Adelson. It's Israel first. And you know what my big fear is? I've got Jewish friends, Mike. This is the same stuff that happened in World War II. They pushed it too far, and people get upset, and they start overreacting, and all Jews are bad, and they're making a big risk here. This Netanyahu better lose this election, and they better get somebody in there that's moderate, because this Likud party, and Ivanka Trump and Jared, these people are fooling nobody unless they shut the internet off. We all know what's going on, right?
Well, they're trying to do that right now. Or they're trying to shut off the internet, which keeps us informed. They want to keep the commercial part of the internet going. They've monetized it too heavily.
Yeah, well, Trump is run by the Zionists. That's who funded him. That's Sheldon Adelson. He served as the Grand Marshal for the Israel Parade. They got a coin in his name, the new king. It's a joke, Mike. I think it's just, what was that thing that Hitler said or whatever? It's so obvious. If you repeat the lie enough, people will believe you. This thing is ridiculous. He is run by the Zionists.
Yes.
That's who runs our country. That's who runs the media. I'm not talking about the Jewish faith. I'm talking about, like, you've put everybody up on the Khazars, the thugs like Netanyahu that run Israel. They better stop this guy, or we're going to be in a. Then I think they want a nuclear war.
Well, it would allow them to rebuild from scratch.
I don't know, Mike. I don't know. I just, we know who did 9/11. All you got to do is, tap a few keys and find out who had access to the buildings. It wasn't Arabs, okay, who controlled the Building 7, the World Trade Center, Towers 1 and 2. It's so simple, but it's so in your face and so ghastly that people are afraid to look at it. But it's right in your face.
Yes.
All right, Mike. I'll let you go. Thank you for the good work, and Godspeed. I love you and Claire, and I would do anything. You can come stay at my house, but I know you won't do that, even though I'm down here in Florida.
Yeah.
Beautiful home with a pool. I'd love to have you in my guest suite.
Well, where we're staying right now, there's actually an indoor pool, which we may take advantage of. We're going to be here for about 2 weeks, and then we're going to move into our new place permanently. All right, so the phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Getting on back to the news here. Apparently, there was a police officer threatened to carry out a mass shooting. He was not red flagged. They didn't take his guns. He was not arrested. Okay, we have another caller waiting on the line. Mike in Brazil, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I'm sorry. I know you have a rule, one call
one call per show. Okay, but I heard something about a benevolent dictatorship. There is no such thing as a benevolent dictatorship. The name itself has a negative connotation, okay? When you have a dictatorship, and I think I'm, in a way, qualified to speak over this because I lived almost 15 years in Eastern Europe, okay? I'm not going to say where in Eastern Europe.
Okay.
But Eastern Europe was all communist, okay? So I can tell you this. There is no such thing as a benevolent dictatorship. What you might call benevolent, I call evil. And what I call benevolent, you call evil. So there is no such thing as a benevolent dictatorship. Dictatorship by itself is bad. Okay, you cannot dictate your point of view to other people just because you think you're right. And also, I was going to ask you, do you get to listen to Dennis Prager, Prager University? I used to listen to this guy back in the early 1980s when he used to have a radio show called Religion on the Line, and he had a rabbi, he had a Catholic priest, and he had a pastor. And the man is the fairest man I could ever imagine. And people are blasting him that he's this and he's that. Also, I need to remind people that not all Jews are the same. Okay, just like not all Christians are the same. Just not like all Muslims are the same. I remember when I was down and out about 49 years ago, to be exact. Okay, the only person that gave me a hand and helped me out was a guy. His name was Graal. Okay, he was Jewish, Talmudic Jew. Okay, and I stress that, Talmudic Jew. And he was the one who bought me breakfast, bought me cigarettes, and made me feel at home. Okay, so not all Jews are the same. So
no, they're not.
I hate people paint Jews, like being evil. No, they're not. I've met some very fine Jewish people in my life. So some of them are bad, right? I grant you that. Like, we have bad Christians amongst us. And bad Muslims, good Muslims, all that. So when people say that, they're Jewish, they control this and they control that. No, they're not. It's just a small fragment of their culture that does that. Not the whole thing. It's not the whole population of them that does this. So, I felt a little, hurt when I heard people talking about, the Jews are this and the Jews are that. No, they're not. They're very good people. Most of them that I met in my life, very decent citizens, and I still maintain contact with them. And, dictatorships are dictatorships. There's nothing good about a dictatorship. They're all bad, okay? Dictatorship, in and by itself, is a bad thing. And I do not wish anybody in the United States to experience dictatorship. You people don't know what a dictatorship is like yet, okay? But wait, you're going to find out, okay? So, Mike, this is all I have to say for all these people who talk about dictatorships and Jews and all that. And, I'm sorry I broke the rule. One call per show. I'm sorry. Okay? I hope I'm not going to do it again, okay? Take it easy now and have a good show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. No, you're absolutely right. There are bad people, there are good people, and very often they will use religion as their excuse. When I think about good Jewish people, I can't help but think of Renee Valente, who was kind of my studio mom at 20th Century Fox. And she and her husband Burr were Jewish, and they were wonderful, wonderful people, and they were very instrumental in my career. And I absolutely loved her, and I miss her greatly. All righty, let's go back to the phones here. Ken in New York. Aloha, Ken. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha in Indiana, Mike. How are you?
Fine.
I have a different philosophy when it comes to voting, and I've started doing this about 5 years ago. I will talk to my local politicians. I'll get them to do whatever favors I can get them, like clean my street up, anything like that. And then when it comes time to vote, cold spaghetti, I just vote against them. Just vote against incumbents. If you're stuck with a bad situation and then there's nothing else you can do, the only thing you can do is not let them get comfortable in their positions. They need not only the money, they need the control.
Yes.
That's all I had to say.
Well, I never vote. It just seems to encourage the bastards.
Well, if nothing else, if they can't get comfortable in their position, they all, I mean, even in the town that I'm in over here in Long Island, politicians spend $300,000 to run for a job that pays less than $100,000.
Yes.
And recently, we had a fireman that's been promoted into a legislature. He caught the eye of the Republican Party here, or they caught him, one or the other. And it turns out that in volunteer fire departments, the chief was making $175,000 a year. So he gets a job as a legislator. He's making $102,000 a year. So he sets up a shell corporation under his wife. He's under indictment now. And he gets an extra job, what he calls a fire management job, for $10,000 a month as some kind of a secretary. Apparently, one of the little guys turned around and blew the whistle on him, and he got indicted. And they're running him again, and no mention of it, nothing. He was warned by the ethics committee that he can't be taking any outside jobs while he's legislator. So with a wife and 2 kids, I guess $102,000 isn't enough.
Well, I got to tell you, $102,000 a year would be plenty for me.
Yes. Right. I mean, it's just these people, I don't know, we're just a blood bag, and they just look at every opportunity to put the straw in and suck on it.
Yep.
49 years old, by the way.
Well, okay, Ken, thank you for the phone call. We're going to move along here. Now, if you are my age, you were in school in the 1990s, and you were inflicted with the Texas Instruments 84 calendar. It was obsolete the day it was introduced. It was made with $20 and sold for more than $100 a pop to children, all but forced to buy them. All right, we're going to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back. Aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're telling you the tale of the Texas Instruments 84 calculator. This was a 1980s design updated to 1990s technology. It cost about $20 for TI to make, and it sold for more than $100 a pop to children, all but forced to buy them by their school curriculum. Now, Texas Instruments is a notorious lobbyist, and it has sought laws big and small to maintain this status quo, from mandatory algebra courses with mandatory TI-84 examination to examination rules that allow its devices and no others. But the racket is falling apart under pressure from superior alternatives and growing resentment among students and teachers. Now, when tutoring low-income students in 2011, a Yale math grad named Eli Luberoff began to notice a horrible inequality in the system. A lot of families simply couldn't afford to spend $100 on a calculator, and it was creating a huge imbalance in access to math tools. So Luberoff created Desmos. This was a free graphing calculator application for desktop and mobile. He didn't expect to turn it into a company, but as of today, more than 40 million students and teachers use it. Now, their business model is the exact opposite of IT. Their model has always been to give tech away for free to textbook companies and force families to buy it at a premium price. And he says, our model is to give tech away for free to students and charge the textbook companies to integrate it. In 4 years, IT's other devices sales have slumped from 2.2 billion to 4.1 billion, an indicator their calculators are not selling well. Now, of course, my favorite calculator are the Hewlett-Packards. And I started out with an HP 15C, which I absolutely loved. And then when I wanted to get the next calculator up, I gave the 15C to somebody and said, shh, don't tell them where you got it. And I got the 28C. And then I had I think it was a 54 graphic calculator, but that's one of the things I had to leave behind in California when we moved. And I love a good, decent calculator that's well thought out. Now, fortunately, the HP 15C is emulated on the iPhone and the iPad, including its programming functions, so I'm able to play with that. All righty, let's see. Okay. Rivals slam Trudeau as PM pulls out of election debate amid the blackface scandal. And again, I think this is a load of nonsense. I don't think we should be judging people based on things they did 20 to 30 years ago, which were socially acceptable at the time. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, here's a good one. Off-duty cop accidentally shoots himself during a road rage with another cop. Got to pick your targets here. Apparently, San Francisco communist teachers dragged 5-year-old children with hate Trump signs to a rally and coached them on hateful chants. I don't think that's an appropriate behavior for teachers to be doing, but apparently they are definitely doing. Okay. Democrat, and well, we already talked about the $4 billion. Talked about the gun, as it were. Trump Labor Department slammed for, well, we already talked about that. Mixed reviews. I won't be bothering using Mix.com anymore. As a replacement for Stumbled On, it never lived up to the hype. I used to get as many as 100,000 clicks on articles I stumbled. Mix never had any kind of that figures. When I transferred over, they were supposed to bring over my 125,000 stumbles. They brought over fewer than 90,000. A lot of competition in social media. Now, here's a weird one. NASA and the European Space Agency are announcing plans for an insurance policy for Earth. Now, they're not saying what they're insuring against: asteroid strike, volcanic eruption, but this is the new moneymaker. We're all going to pay a policy for insurance on Earth. All right, we got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And here's a good example of just how corrupt our police system has become. Because, as you know, there are dozens of people serving life in prison for marijuana. They just sent one guy away, life sentence on his first offense. Meanwhile, 2 years ago, then 18-year-old Anna Chambers accused 2 on-duty NYPD officers of raping her in the back of a police car on the night of September 15, 2017. As emphatically she claimed she was raped and did not consent to having sex, the two police officers, she asserts, not only have the police continued to attempt to intimidate her, but the very justice system she looked on for help was set to help the alleged rapist. Then last month, her claims were proven correct. So, rape a girl, get off for it. Use weed, you're gonna go to jail. It's pretty sick. I have to wonder what's wrong with our police department. Okay. Several Native American tribes have oral stories about little people, not unlike the European takes of fairies and sprites or the Hawaiian Minahune. Race of tiny people between 20 and 36 inches in height in the Shoshone legends were mean little fellows. They would attack the Shoshone and shoot tiny poison-tipped arrows at them. We would chalk these legends up to folklore, just like faints and spirits, except for one thing. The mummified body of a little person was discovered in Wyoming in 1932. Was this proof that the Native Americans' little people were real? Now, in the case of Hawaii, the Minahune were beneficial. They loved to build things. And the rules for building things was you couldn't watch them build. They charged you one fish a day for the construction, but if they caught you watching, they would abandon the project. And a lot of those projects are still there, like the Minahune Fish Pond on Kauai, the Minahune Ditch on Kauai. A lot of these artifacts, and so it appears they definitely were real. Okay, the city manager has shut down a preschool farm stand citing zoning violations. This is not satire. This is a current predicament facing the Little Ones Learning Center in Forest Park, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. In an area where access to fresh fruits and vegetables can be limited, the preschool has stepped up to prioritize growing and selling fresh produce from its school gardens. Now, according to a recent reporting in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Little Ones has often sold its produce with generous discounts to the local food stamp recipients and other neighbors, and Penn has acknowledged as a leader in the farm-to-school healthy food member. But the city council has shut it down now. Because after all, if you want food, you will go to the supermarket and you will spend full price. Alrighty. Dinesh Ozuka has attacked for calling Swedish climate teen a propaganda tool, which, as far as I can tell, actually is. Okay, student shot at Columbine stops Beto with questions about the gun ban. You know, Beto's out there saying, heck yes, we're going to take your guns. And apparently a pro-gun survivor of the Columbine shooting had a question for Beto O'Rourke that the Democrats struggled to answer. The first student shot in the library on April 20th, 1990 at Colum High School was part of a crowd that gathered to hear Beto speak. And in Aurora. And O'Rourke was not shy about repeating his calls for firearm confiscations in the town hall, a message that has recently come to define his 2020 campaign. Eventually, Todd had his turn at the microphone. He said, while I understand that you want a mandatory buyback for AR-15s and AK-47s, none of my classmates were murdered with those weapons. 50% of mass murders don't happen with those weapons. That's putting him in his place. Alrighty. All right, Representative Devin Nunes. The deep state scheme backfired. The Ukrainian career will be the end of Joe Biden's campaign. I think it will be. I don't think they're going to be able to keep the lid on Hunter Biden's dealings in Ukraine. I think it's going to come on out. Trump is going to want to save himself by denying that there was a $4 million payment. Okay. Apparently, Justin Trudeau is apologizing for his bound face. Don Lemon is praising him. Oh, here's a good one. A bill forcing public universities to offer abortion medication passes the California Senate. Amazing here. And another good one, 9 Marines from Camp Pendleton in California charged with human smuggling. Just getting them across that fence here. Okay. Washington Post publishes another vague, thinly sourced smear against Trump, and the media runs wild. Alrighty. Cops were apparently called to rescue a man after a family attacked him for having sex with a girl 13 years old. I don't know that I would have been a rush to answer that call. Okay. Iran says the new U.S. sanctions target Iranians' access to food and medicine. And goes back to shades of Madeleine Albright, who did exactly the same thing in Iraq. Starve him to death. Make him sick. I don't care how many die. This is a little weird. Apparently over in Sweden, there's a new project aimed at cultivating a taste for climate-friendly food among little children, including delicacies such as algae ball, bug mac, and tasty waste. And basically, they're teaching these kids to eat insects, which sounds kind of yucky. But if you remember the article that we ran Friday, if the bugs get eaten up, the bird population declines. They don't think these things through. That's the problem I have with all these ideas. Oh, it's a good idea. We'll have the kids eat bugs. Oh, what happens when the bug population goes down? Oh, who cares? We mentioned this on Friday. Bankrupt Illinois cities are forced to cut services to fund pensions. In order to meet their pension obligations, they're having to cut the fire department, the police department, all kinds of stuff like that. Beto O'Rourke invokes Antonin Scalia to justify gun confiscation. Dana Loesch responds with a history lesson. Apparently, newscaster Charlie Rose is in trouble. A makeup artist claims she had to use a hand mirror to defend herself from an assault. I think we have to be very careful about these assault stories. Yes, assaults happen. I've seen them. But I've also seen women scream assault just to get ahead with their career here. Hillary Clinton accuses Trump of asking a foreign power to help him win the presidential election when she was the one to ask Ukrainians for info on Trump, and let us not forget that Uranium One deal. Okay. Already did the 12 coats here. Candace Owens unloads. Liberal hack gets drubbing after accusing owners of laughing at Christchurch massacre. Pelosi demands Trump admin release whistleblower complaint, warns Trump stepping into minefield with serious repercussions. Oh, and a little bit of good news for you people over in Colorado. A Colorado city has endless a topless ban after spending $300,000 defending it in court. Okay. Western media is portraying the Hong Kong protesters as heroes, but are they? We're going to start seeing a propaganda war back and forth. I think they're heroes. They're standing up for something. Obviously, the Chinese government wants them portrayed as thugs and hooligans and criminals. I think any time a people stand up in defiance of tyranny, they're heroes. Apparently, new evidence reveals that Ilhan Omar's brother/husband was enrolled at NDSU when she claimed in court he was allegedly missing. You know, I think Ilhan Omar, if she ever caught herself telling the truth, would tell a lie just to stay in practice. Okay, Greg Jarrett is saying it appears the whistleblower on this whole Ukraine thing is just an American spy in our intelligence agency spying on Donald Trump. Alrighty. I love this one. School bus driver in Washington appeared to be driving drunk. Fifth grader calls 911, turns him in. Good. Absolutely good. Alrighty. Will more U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia make America great? And the short answer is no. More troops from America don't make us great. Makes us dangerous. Makes us feared. Doesn't make us great. Okay. Far-left judge orders President Trump to give videotape deposition in Mexican protesters' lawsuit. Apparently, seminary students offer confessions to plants in ritual as part of the climate change religion. Okay. The Iran president is in New York to convey a message of regional peace. As you know, the UN starts today. Alrighty. Full spectrum dominance. The U.S. demonizes invented enemies. Don't have enough enemies to make war on. We'll just make up as we go along. Talked about the wedding. And here we go. Pennsylvania state senator resigns after being arrested for child porn. Still don't get that one. Green tea could hold key to reducing antibiotic resistance. Police dead America. 2 6-year-olds arrested at school in Florida. It's amazing. And let's see, microplastics and other industrial materials found in Great Lakes sediment. People are still bitching about 5G. Chick-fil-A sales have more than doubled since the LGBT boycott began. It's called the Banned in Boston effect. A lot of talk about the Uyghur problem, China, and how that's going to end. And they're still talking about that super mosquito. Remember that experiment they did in Brazil where the males were supposedly sterile. When they mated with the females would produce non-viable insects. Wrong. Apparently, they blew right past that gene. They're producing new mosquitoes, and even worse, they have hybrid vigor abilities. That was a bad mistake. And of course, this big one about how the NSA is archiving all encrypted emails and transactions, knowing they'll be able to break them in 3 years thanks to quantum computing. I am telling you right now, it will never happen. Quantum computing is very fast computing, but if you don't have the method, you will not break the code. Apparently, a Democrat official sentenced to 15 years in prison for a vote fraud case. Okay, we got the porn one here. Cops can steal your stuff. Small town in Ireland fights back against open borders. All right, we're coming up here on our last commercial break, and we'll be back with the last segment of our program after these few words. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. Now, you all know who Scott Adams is. He's the creator of DeBuilt, and he writes a lot politically. He's got a book coming out in November. The proceeds are going to go for various charitable organizations. And he had an article today, A Message for Children About Climate Change. And he says, sorry adults have frightened you about climate change and how it might affect your future. You might be less afraid if you knew some facts that adults intentionally did not explain to you, and I will explain them here. So he's trying to calm down some of the hysteria. Okay. Apparently, Joe Biden lost his cool at a Fox News reporter who asked an impertinent question about his son's work with the Ukrainian natural gas company. Okay. Another San Francisco day, another assault by a deranged man on the street. Here's an interesting little story. This goes back a lot of years, okay, and has to do with Edwin Land. Now, Edwin Land is the father of photography, and he spent long hours in independent study at the New York Public Library, reading about physics, chemistry, and the properties of life. And he took his family to a trip to New Mexico that gave him the idea to create his best-known invention. On a family trip to Santa Fe in 1943, Land, an avid photographer, snapped a photograph of his young daughter, Jennifer. Now, a girl ahead of her time, Jennifer wanted to see the picture of her immediately so she could give it the thumbs up or thumbs down. And Land had to explain to his daughter they would have to wait until they got home, took the film into a darkroom for developing, and had prints made before she could see the photo. To which Jennifer rolled her eyes and said something like, "That's stupid. Why can't I see the photos instantly?" And that is what inspired Dr. Edwin Land to invent the Polaroid Land instant camera. I think that's a cool story. So, even a nagging woman has a purpose. Okay, now. Alrighty. Already found Jesse Smollett's weapon. Apparently, artificial intelligence is now creating human faces that are indistinguishable from the real ones. This is going to cause all kinds of problems for the corporate media, for court cases, and how do you identify that a person really is a person just because they look like it in the photo? That is the problem we'll be thinking of for quite some time. Okay, there's the music. Time for me to get on out of here. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots and lots of things to share with you. Please take what you learn here, share it with everybody that you can. Please donate to RBN. Please donate to whatreallyhappened.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.